What's up XRP family, thank you guys for joining the video for today. Here we go guys, we have some interesting stuff. If we expect the unexpected but know the unexpected is expected, does the unexpected become the expected, or is it simply a case of not expecting what I once expected? Very interesting, because this really applies to XRP, right? Everyone knows what's going to happen, or the XRP community knows, but what if that becomes the expected and actually the unexpected should happen? Right? It's a very interesting saying, and here we have some things. Executive Order 14067, officially titled Ensuring Responsible Development of Digital Assets, was signed on March 9, 2022 and is the 83rd executive order signed by US President Joe Biden. The telos of the order is to develop digital assets in a responsible manner. Now, why is all this happening now, guys? Ask yourself that. Companies in the digital asset field will likely see policy changes in the form of regulation and enforcement, but it might also give the market and its participants more clarity. The order instructs federal agencies to conduct a wide assessment of existing policies relating to digital assets and to submit reports recommending regulatory and legislative reforms. The order does not change the way digital assets are governed immediately. Not immediately, but what about a lawsuit of 2.5 years, right? Because we are going that way. Ripple can actually change the way that digital assets are going to be governed. And that is why this is taking so long, guys. Open your eyes, because this lawsuit is actually the example, and many cryptos will perish. XRP can't be confiscated by government, says ex-Ripple director. Here are 3 reasons why. Neither XRP buyback nor confiscation are possible, Matt Hamilton explains. There is a small but very vocal minority of the XRP community that is promoting a crazy idea of the US government buying back, confiscating XRP from US citizens, yet for some strange reason compensating them hundreds of thousands of percentages above market rate, right? It's not logical at all, guys. The buyback is not logical. The only thing that's logical is that XRP ODL is going to be used for major transactions and going to cover debt, and then we don't have to talk about buybacks but simply a supply shock. And a supply shock is very not common, but common in the sense that price can rise because of supply shock, right? We can see that with NFTs. When an NFT has 10,000 pieces and there is a good community, the price goes up once a lot of people start engaging and buying those NFTs. At one point, there's a supply shock. Why? Because everyone wants to hold a piece of that collection. But there is only 10,000 pieces. Now imagine there is only 10,000 coins of a very high valued coin, which is actually the same as Bitcoin. 21 million is a very small supply for a cryptocurrency. That is why the price is also very high. Now, XRP has a large supply, but think about all the debt and all the money, right? It's a different animal, and that is why a supply shock will actually bring price valuation. Tether is a value partner of the Department of Justice. Very interesting, guys. We are expecting, and I've warned you many times on this channel, that Tether will be the next one to implode, and you have to be careful with this, regardless of what they are saying, guys. Let's take a look.
Like any modern 21st century company, their personnel are everywhere. The British Virgin Islands. Their legal function is in Canada. Some of their executives live in Europe or Asia. You know, it's one of these 21st century companies where, you know, everybody works remotely. But they're headquartered in the BVI. But the legal function the GC is in Canada. So he's in the same time zone as at least some of the prosecutors, and is able to respond to these requests, you know, really, in, like I said, 24/7. So that's an example of something that is the polar opposite of the FUD about Tether, and the narrative that's been built up by Tether over time. And I do think that if more people knew, regular people, not law enforcement people, regular people knew that this is something that Tether does for law enforcement, for U.S. law enforcement, and is so relied on by U.S. law enforcement, I think it would start to change the narrative, you know, even more than other events have, because it's something that Tether's actually a really valued partner of DOJ. And that's something that most people would, like any...
Guys, Tether is a walking risk. Like, it's very, very dangerous to hold your money or any assets in Tether, right? Because there are so many signs that Tether will explode, go down. The Ripple case does not settle until after we have a decision from Judge Torres. An exchange, maybe more than one, is sued for selling unregistered securities. Investigation into SBF fraud. Meetings uncovers bad. Gensler resigns before the end of the year. These are all predictions of Johnny Deaton, right? It would be very interesting, guys, if these come true. Not your keys, not your crypto. Ripple rivals Stellar operations temporarily suspended on major Korean exchange. Now listen, guys, I've been saying this so many times. If you have XRP or any digital asset on exchanges, it is not your crypto because you do not have access to that key. So if this happens, and this happens a lot, guys, do not be mistaken, then you are literally having a big problem, guys. So be aware of that. It is very, very risky. You're playing with fire. It's the same as holding assets in Tether, right? It's the same thing. Think about what you're doing and make it safe, guys, because we are in an environment where everything can go wrong. ISO20022 XML transition. This is Wells Fargo website, guys. Look what they're saying. The use of different financial messaging standards creates problems in automating payments from end to end. ISO20022 is solving this challenge through a globally accepted standard that improves payment efficiency while reducing risk. Real-time payment networks such as the Clearinghouse's RTP network and high-value payment systems in more than 70 countries already use ISO20022 MX format. Go and look who is partners with Wells Fargo, guys. You can Google it. It's Ripple, right? And Wells Fargo is also working with the US digital dollar. So we have a very interesting turns of plans here, guys. We are founding member of Swift's Payments Markets Practice Group. We're also an active participant in key working groups that are shaping the transition, including HVPS plus, CBPR plus, IP plus, and various technical user groups. We're participating in the pilot testing program for Swift Transaction Manager and have started community testing with other banks. Look at this. Look at this, guys. By 2025, they are ready. They are going to, look at this, starting in March, customers can send most payments messages to us in either MT or MX format. This is what I was talking about. March is the date that they will start using this. Former SEC Enforcement Chief Burganka is puzzled as to why the SEC knew about the Gemini lending program but allowed it to continue for at least a year before telling it to stop. I wonder that she'd say about the 5-6 years the SEC allowed Ripple to sell XRP. Let's take a look.
Right. That is an interesting question. The SEC has known about this product for a long time. We understand, based on a tweet today from, or late last night, from Tyler Winklevoss of Gemini, we know that Gemini had been under investigation for this product for quite some time, more than a year, and yet the SEC allowed this to continue for that period of time. They were in talks with Gemini, and then the crash happened in November. Because of FTX, Gemini was no longer paying any funds to customers, and 2 more months went by. So it seems to me that the bigger issue, the thing that triggered this, was the answer that Gemini filed in a separate case, in a class action against Gemini, brought based on behalf of Gemini customers for the failure to continue payments under the Gemini Earn product.
Very interesting, guys. Another company being sued, and you can see again they are too late with actually solving the case. Now you will see this happening non-stop, guys. The SEC is a very large institutional governmental place, right? And it seems like things are just going by them, but there's also corruption, of course. But you have to understand one thing, guys. Ripple is there and it's not corruption. This is all planned, guys. This is all staged. This is how it's supposed to be. Ripple has to go through this lawsuit to become the chosen one and the real asset that will be used for global transactions. Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. See you in the next one. Cheers.